And I don't know why, but he just kept on asking for it. And I said, you know what?
Save it for the OnlyFans, okay? I mean, when did you clip that? I was so
I'm a
confused to
ninja.
hear my own voice there. I was
Why
like,
am I
what?
talking without my lips moving?
Advanced ventriloquism.
God damn. Welcome back to the Zero Strategy Podcast, episode 27. Yeah, I was waiting for someone to call me out there, but 27 is correct.
You would think he
I'm
would have
starting to
learned by
think back
now.
so I know now.
If somebody else wants to take over the intros from now on, feel free. All right?
No, this
Feel
is
free.
great.
Oh no.
Yeah, you're fine.
Everyone who's watching the live stream, thank you very much for being here. As always, if you have any questions for us or any topics that you think would be interesting for us to discuss, please don't hesitate to let us know in the chat at one of us or at the podcast in the chat so we can see, and we will try and get to any questions. As always, I'm joined by my co-hosts. Today we have Cyber, we have Grog, we have Humps. This is an audio podcast, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. They are waving. But, and we have Kibbles.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello, hello.
So, first of all, how has everyone's week been?
Hello.
Hello.
Why are you not joining in, Condon?
I
Hello,
wasn't.
my honey. Hello, my baby.
Cyber, how's your week been? What have you been up to?
My week's been good. I bought a car. A little
Ooh,
thing to get
cool.
me around since my other car died. But apart from that, that's it.
I was gonna say that's exciting or cool, except I
89, or
remember
do you
your
mean
last car
yeah.
exploded, so I wasn't gonna be like super.
Yeah.
literally went
Yeah.
boom. My PC died, but I managed to fix it because Windows is an absolute prick. And but yeah, it's back. It's alive, kind of.
Kind of.
But your house didn't explode.
Not yet, anyway.
Hey.
That's looking up.
Awesome. What about yourself, Grog? What have you been up to?
Bro, the huge. Had some audio issues Saturday when I was co-streaming with Lauren, but honestly, she was great for just kind of like carrying the dead air as I like tried to troubleshoot in vain. Apparently, she wants to be in some sort of urn when she dies,
Oh,
and
fucking.
then she wants me to be in some sort of like coffin below ground with a periscope where you can just like see me like as I
that's
decay.
Yeah, I'm down.
It went to some really interesting, strange places. So apparently we can pull off just chatting fine if needs be.
So what's interesting, that first of all, that stream was actually really entertaining. I was just chilling, watching. The question about the, what happens when you die, that was, my wife was asking weird questions. And it was like, originally, like, what do you want written on your gravestone? And I said, and I stand by it, my gravestone is just going to say, Humps, whose beard is bare. That's what's going to be on my gravestone. But yeah, hopefully you've got those audio issues figured out for next stream.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Humps, what about yourself? What have you been up to?
The huge.
Yeah, not a whole lot. You know what I mean? Just chilling, hanging out, being cool.
Just whittling wood on a porch.
You know, just whittling that wood, practicing my woodwork and whatnot.
Did you change headsets?
You noticed?
I
Yeah.
did.
So I got today. We are rocking the Steel Series, Arctis 7s.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Hashtag
Yeah.
not a sponsor.
Not yet.
I don't know.
Not
I was
yet.
feeling
Not yet. Hashtag not yet a
froggy.
sponsor.
I was feeling froggy. So, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't been doing much. I guess I don't know. Playing some video games here and there.
Just the usual.
Yeah.
The huge.
I'm building my wife a computer for her birthday.
It looks
Does
pretty
she
dope.
not know
We've
about
seen-
it, or
we've
are you
seen
just-
photos of the components.
She does not know about it.
All right. Nobody tell her. It's a secret. Kibbles.
Ooh, I
how's-
just realized the implication. She definitely doesn't watch or listen to the podcast in any way, shape, or
Yeah,
form.
we were actually having a
Wow, she
conversation about that
doesn't
this morning.
support.
Don't you support me, woman?
Don't support me.
All right, and Kibbles, how has your week been?
It's been good. I'm finally not sick anymore, so that's pretty dope.
That's good.
So, yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. But playing a lot of Among Us and learning to never trust another person again. So, it's cool.
I'm surprised like that game hasn't destroyed more friendships than anticipated.
How do you know it hasn't?
Yeah, there's definitely friendships that
Said his
are.
name earlier.
There's definitely people that don't like me as much as they used to. Anyway, I know that for sure.
I feel like you need to go into that game where you just need to meme and lie, and if you take it to heart, I don't think it's the game for you. You just need to steer way clear away from it.
Yeah, you just gotta
It's like
accept.
sent those letters.
All right. Well, we have a few topics to go over today, so we'll just jump into them. We're gonna go through some news first of all, and just kind of give our thoughts and have a little discussion. First of all, Ninja is back on Twitch officially. Looks like he signed an exclusivity deal with them again, which I mean I didn't see that coming. I don't know about anyone else, but
No.
he
I did.
Oh yeah, not at all. That shocked the hell out of me for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what his
shit.
sort of first stream back was. He was on when I woke up this morning, and he had good numbers. I mean, decent, certainly better than when he left Twitch before. So, people seem to be glad that he's back. True. But yeah, I don't know what you guys think about that. If there's anything to really discuss on it, it's definitely a surprise move.
Ooh, well, I mean, I guess I was just thinking. So, do you feel different? Do you feel different subbing to a streamer that is not just a partner but also has signed a most likely very hefty $1 million contract?
I hadn't thought about it personally.
That's a good point. I mean, like, because you figure at that point, well, okay. I mean, I guess it depends on how you look at the nature of subs and donos and bits and stuff like that. Like, I think some people probably look at obviously bits and donations as kind of the equivalent of like, you pass somebody on the subway and like they're playing some fucking badass saxophone and you're just like, hey man, fucking have a buck. That's like some good shit. But then
I'm glad
I think
that was your rep. Like your
Yeah.
Yeah.
I respect you so much more now.
and then like but like the equivalent of like busking or like or you go to a coffee shop and like the person's just like really rad or they make a hell of a coffee or whatever and like it's just a little something extra. And then I think that like some people probably look at subbing the same way, whereas others probably look at subbing as I wish to like maybe more from the standpoint of like say like Patreon, where it's like I want to give this person a means to help them make this a full-time thing. I want this to be, I want to support them in the most direct way possible. And this is me just like doing my duty as a fan to show that I cherish and support what they do. But I think some people also probably look at subs as like I'll do it for a month and then cancel it. And maybe that's more tied to folks that have the advantage of using something like Twitch Prime, where it can be like a throwaway is not the word, but you know what I mean? Like they can just once a month just chuck a sub at someone as kind of a tip, like a thank you. But
Actually,
yeah, after
like
making
Ginger brought up, I like what
contracts,
she wrote in chat. She said, only reason to sub would it be if you like emotes or something, which I mean, I don't know if she meant it in the way I'm thinking, but I mean, that kind of makes sense too. Like, $5 to get most, 20 something cool ass emotes, $5 for to use those emotes for a month. I mean, that's not a bad deal, I suppose, either. So, I mean, I guess you can look at it that way.
I like it when the big streamer says my name.
You'll be lucky if the big streamer even says your name.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. We're talking big. He's not seeing anything.
Yeah. True.
A lot of those folks are not getting call outs. Like you sub and then it's just like, I mean, maybe if you drop
on
100
green and then
like
thanks for the $200, you
yeah, maybe.
Well, did you see somebody donated to the doc and he was like in the middle of a rant and it was a pretty big number. I think it was like $600 or something like that. And he looks at the donation and he's like, I don't give a shit about that donation. And then he just continues on with his rant. If that was me, I would be pissed. If I like donated that amount of money for this guy to just go, you.
That's what you get for
I'm in the
donating.
middle of something.
There's-
I'd been honored. I would have been honored.
Yeah.
That, man.
There's been a similar thing with
That he
Doc
t-
as well.
That he took 2 seconds out of his day to tell me to fuck
mean-
off.
I
Oh
mean,
god, that
it's a
$600
video.
was so well spent.
There's a clip I see all the time where someone donates to the Doc and says, "Imagine donating to a millionaire, lol," and he's like, "You got it
Yeah.
wrong. You got it wrong. It's multi-millionaire, multi-millionaire." It's an interesting point though, because obviously we now know with some of these streamers that they are tied to these contracts where Twitch is just already paying them for being on the platform streaming, and presumably we don't know the ins and outs of those contracts, but they're still making sponsorship money. They're still getting ad revenue, which is not a small amount when you've got a lot of viewers. So do you still feel the same subscribing when you know that like other maybe slightly smaller partners or people that aren't tied into these exclusive contracts, you're more directly supporting that person? It's an interesting one. I know with Ninja previously, before he left Twitch, there was this whole movement of Ninja's already rich, so we don't need to sub to him anymore, right? There was a big thing like that, and he made the point of, well, look at these, like, say Drake, for example. Drake's rich, very wealthy, he does well for himself. Are you going to stop buying his records because he's, doesn't need the money? Like, which is a kind of I guess.
And he got trolled a little bit for comparing himself to, like,
Yeah, it's a tough comparison to make, right? But it's kind of interesting still. Like, if at the
Especially when there's, like, a
baseline,
physical product being
exactly,
offered with that.
exactly. But I think his
Like,
point
I mean,
is,
it's
if you're
physical
still
product,
enjoying,
sure, but I mean, at the same time, you're buying content. I mean,
if you're
that's what it
enjoying the
is.
content and you see value
Yeah.
and you want to support it, then it shouldn't matter how
Then again, you
wealthy the
have to
person is
buy
or
the-
not.
I mean, you have to buy the content to get Drake stuff versus you can just watch Twitch.
Yeah.
It's an interesting comparison, but I hadn't thought about that with these streamers
You have
that are.
Spotify. You
I-
can listen to it. This is really.
I
getting-
think that for anyone who is like a partner that has signed an exclusivity deal where there's a fixed amount of money like on the table for a fixed number of months or years, then anything that the chat does to support them, be it even a sub, much less a dono or a bit, is basically just like dropping a dollar in their hat, and just being like, hey, I like what you do, or in the case of Hum's made an excellent point, I like your fucking emotes. Do they need it? I mean, no. Like, because most of those contracts are for 6 or 7 figures. Like, if you're making that kind of money at that point, like, you are at a position in this industry where you don't need to be doing like a lot of heavy. I mean, there's still a lot of expected of you, but it's like, even the people who are at the lowest levels of Twitch, who are grinding hard, who work really hard on their overlays, who work on having a regular schedule, who want to have consistent interaction with their fans, like, they're putting in as much work as Tyler Blevins. He's doing other stuff on the side that is ancillary to just having the stream up and running. But if you think about like what he's actually doing in the middle of the stream, they're going to have paid mods, they're going to have paid editors, they're going to have all this stuff. So in terms of the amount of hours they put in per day to just stream and manage chat and manage their devices and keep tabs on their stream deck and all that stuff, other people are working as hard.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it is more of like a tip in the hat at that point.
Yeah.
Because they don't really need it.
I have always been of the opinion that, for like, certainly for like, so there's a lot of like, I want to see growing streamers, right, that aren't huge partners that I will stay subscribed to because I enjoy their content. I'm in their stream a lot and I want to support those people, right? And that's like my baseline of like, those are the people I'm going to subscribe to, and, they may drop off or new ones may come in, whatever, but there's those people. As for the big streamers, I tend to find usually it's only if I've got, that spare little bit of money somewhere and I find myself watching the stream, really enjoying it, and I want to show that bit of support. But I don't usually keep like a recurring subscription on like a big streamer. Maybe I'll move my Prime between, these big channels that I enjoy watching. But yeah, that's always a secondary thing. And in my opinion, that should be the way for everybody on Twitch. If you should only be financially contributing to a streamer if it's, money you don't need, if it's spare, and if you are actually getting value and enjoying the content that you're watching. There's another streamer, Disguised Toast, who moved to Facebook. I think he still sometimes streams on Twitch though. You know, he was a big deal. So this whole thing, I remember he made a video on YouTube breaking down exactly how much money he made from streams, and then he just turned off donations. He was like, "Yeah, please don't donate to me anymore," and he just took it away. And then I believe he turned off subs as well, so that people couldn't subscribe to him, because he was just like, "I don't need it anymore. Like, please don't bother." And then of course he moved to Facebook. I presume there's some sort of deal in place there.
Must be nice to be that spot, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. But it is like that's a streamer who's went on the other side of it, and you know, kind of acknowledged that, well, hey, take your sub and put it to another channel because I'm good. Like, you know, which is pretty it's not a move that I think a lot of people would make. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's interesting is, like, even if you just do a 1-month sub and don't plan to renew, if you sit for an hour or two and enjoy the content and you drop $5, it's still less than the price of a movie ticket.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you're subbing to that content for a month. So you give that person support for a full month of time, where if you've enjoyed even just a couple hours, by sort of correlation, it is enough money that no one should say, oh, it's inconsequential, you know, because then you have like streamers who will sit and say like, oh, it's only $5, please. I deserve it. You owe me the privilege to
100%.
But it is because people are in different economic situations. It is no small sum. However, it's also the kind of thing where if you say, you know what, I'm going to skip that, you know, extra fancy coffee, and I just want to throw some money at somebody because I just want to really show my appreciation for like what they do, that's cool. I mean, it does get a little weird and muddied when you get to people who like can just like shirk a $600 donation like it's nothing, where that person who made the dono is like maybe really hoping that they elicit some sort of like fun reaction out of the person, or just see them really like react to it. And instead, you know, they're just like, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all comes down to the value that you get, and you know, don't be silly with your money, basically. Overall, yeah. I mean, I'm glad to see with. Exactly,
because it is a free platform. It's a free platform, and everything is a nice add-on, but it's not like a guarantee for the people who do it, and people who stream on it should know that going in. So
yeah, I mean, I'm personally, I'm glad to see Ninja back on Twitch. Love him or hate him, you can't deny what he did for the industry.
Everyone.
Yeah,
everyone.
It's if he hadn't signed that deal with Mixer, I don't think we'd have these streamers on exclusivity contracts and things, which, you know, undeniably is good for those people, because it gives them the freedom to stream whatever content they want and all those sorts of things. So it's I think it's good to see him back, and I'll be interested to see kind of how his channel does, and you know, go from there really. So the next topic. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Right before we jump, I did find it funny that you see when Shroud came back, he was in the exact same position. He moved from Twitch to Mixer, came back from Mixer to Twitch. Everyone welcomed him with open arms.
Yeah.
But Ninja does it. He's a fucking sellout. How does that make any logic?
No, I actually disagree with you, Cyber.
Come on then.
Because Shroud left Twitch, so did Ninja. The way Ninja left, what happened to Ninja's page, that's a whole different story. Like, they screwed him. Like, they celebrated the growth of Shroud leaving Twitch and going on to bigger and better things. They did not do that with Ninja. They fucked him.
But how is that him?
And then instead of going to YouTube or something, Twitch offered him probably more money, so he went back to Twitch. So you know what? Sell out. Hot take.
that doesn't really make him a sellout.
And when I say that, I don't mean anything bad about it. He does him, man. I don't give a shit. You know, he's a business dude. He's making money. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, good for him. So I don't think it's a bad thing, but I'm just saying, you know.
But you're right. There's been a definite difference in the community reaction between the two streams. You know, a definite difference. And whether or not Twitch, you know, screwed over Ninja on his way out, still the overall feeling in the community, it was that, you know, definitely the vibe I got was that people weren't happy with Ninja, whereas people were a lot more happy with Shroud. But I mean, maybe it's to do with, without throwing any shade,
likability,
the average age of viewership. Maybe Shroud's viewers just have an understanding of like, fuck yeah, get that bag, you know, go and get that and come back or whatever, you know. Whereas maybe Ninja's viewers, perhaps on the younger side, might not have quite understood that the same way, you know. Because I think we can appreciate if Mixer had offered me what 30 million, like, you know, later. Like
all I have to do is think about like my views on what selling out were when I was like 13 versus now like in my mid to late 30s. Like, dude, if like Condi said, if somebody was like, you know, Kibble's just got approached for like a $1.2 million contract, I'd be like, fuck yeah, get that paper, boy. Like, you know, it's just like, who gives a shit? You know, like, I mean, yeah, it's that I think Condi hit the nail on the head in terms of their audience. If I had to guess, and having never seen the metrics, I would think that Shroud skews older into like 20 somethings, whereas Ninja we know skews younger. So, and there's gonna be that like vibe that comes with those audiences where, you know, one's gonna get more or less flack. And I don't know. I mean, if you look at their ads, like when Shroud moved to Mixer, I don't know if anyone remembers the advertisement, but it was like this like really super over the top, like he had like shades on and he had like a hoodie and he was like walking through like a neon room, and then he goes and sits in front of his computer and everything's like really like, you know, MLG Pro, like super cool. And then it's his wife in the door, like, and then the lights go on and his wife is in the doorway holding their cat and she's like, hey hon, about to start the stream. And he's like, oh yeah, all right, give the cat a kiss. And then she's like, all right. And then she like waves the cat spell. She's like, bye-bye. And he's just like, all right, cool. And then he puts his headset on and then he's like gaming. Like, he was very self-aware and funny. Whereas like, you know, a lot of Ninja stuff is like, it is that larger than life, very neon light, you know, look. And that's his style. I mean, it's always over the top and dramatized. And I think that makes it difficult for someone like him to make these moves and not get extra flack, whereas Shroud seems a little more down to earth. And as we know, you know, Ninja has some thoughts that he's put forward where he's a bit full of himself. So like it doesn't make it any easier to avoid those connotations, because it's like, again, he's comparing himself to Drake, or he's like, you know, it's just a weak mindset. Like he's saying things that just are memeable. Yeah.
For example, like, Jesus could walk on water.
Yeah.
People are like, what?
So he says stuff that is just like a joke, or memeable highlight to the highest degree. And then, you know, Shroud just doesn't say shit like that. So it, you know, I think that is what helps them navigate these waters in such a way that like Shroud doesn't get the same kind of flack.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it'll be interesting if we see any other platforms really come out and you know, rise up to kind of take Mixer's place. I don't see it anytime soon, but yeah. So we got another couple topics relating to like bans. Leafy was here. Leafy,
he was here.
Yeah. Leafy, who you may know as a controversial YouTuber. He disappeared for a long time. He came back. He started making a lot of videos, and he was banned from YouTube. So he moved over to Twitch, and he has been fairly swiftly banned from Twitch as well. Yeah, what's our thoughts on it?
Deserved.
Anyone that just goes around shit talking everyone in sight just for content, why? There's better shit to do with your day. I'm surprised it didn't happen quicker. And we all kind of know why he got banned off Twitch so quickly, and he didn't even get any strikes. He was just gone. But like his return, even on YouTube, was so cringy. Like, I don't know if you guys watch the YouTube stuff, but he went after one popular content creator for no reason at all, just for the banner. just wanted to go after her, and it was like, why? Why are you coming back? What was it? 5 years he was banned on YouTube? It was something.
I don't know if he
something
was
like that.
banned, but he just stopped making videos for a long, long time.
He was restricted from making content, I'm sure.
Hmm.
And then he just came back, and it was like, this is the content that you want to make? It's like, why? There's so much better shit to be doing with your day. I hate people like that. I don't know why. If you haven't got something like nice to say, just shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
Humps, get out of here.
bitch.
You fucking
So-
piss, baby.
It raises a couple interesting questions, right? Which is that, like, so certainly there was 2 clips I saw which could be the reason for this ban. There was one clip where he just straight up said a racial slur, right? Which obviously bannable on Twitch.
Well, if you analyze it, not only was he shit talking someone's content live on his stream, which you're not supposed to do, then he said that racial slur, and it's like, you're just asking for it now.
Yeah,
People's banned for a lot less.
there was also threats made, or the implication of threats being made against other creators, which could be, is more likely, I think, the reason for the permanent ban. However, obviously, in most cases, and please don't think I'm on this opinion, I'm just playing devil's advocate. In most cases, streamers get a temporary ban first, right? And then they come back. So this was his argument on Twitter, that he never got a warning, anything like that. Now, it's my opinion that Twitch, knowing Leafy's history and knowing Leafy's content, and also knowing he's permanently banned on YouTube, just took the decision, 1 strike and you're out, right? And they banned him on YouTube. Do we think that's fair for maybe something that someone's done on another platform to affect them being banned on Twitch? I'm just playing devil's advocate with this one. All right.
Built within the TOS, there is like a very like strict policy where your actions in general affect bans in the future. So if you do it on social media, or if you do it like on
people
live
have
TV,
gotten
or
in trouble
anything
from
like
stuff they've said on Twitter. So
Fair
it's
point.
not new.
Okay.
it doesn't matter
Yeah.
if you're live on stream. Like, all of your actions affect like.
Because in a sense, it's how you conduct yourself in the social sphere, and that is not just the Venn diagram of how when it tends to overlap with that platform. It's the sum total.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah. Well, and I guess it's a little strange when you then also have other streamers who have had multiple temporary bans for stuff that like kind of like seemingly are a little more egregious each time, and then they keep coming back. And that's like a different kind of weirdness where it's like, forget if they do something on a social media network and then they get banned on a different platform as a result of it. I mean, if they said something absolutely horrendous, if they just made just an absolute gross claim or statement that is morally reprehensible society wide, I think it's fine to just straight up ban them, because the thing is that it's often difficult to really make those kinds of claims or statements or actions by accident. You don't accidentally say something super fucked up, unless it was already kind of there in your head.
If it's in your vocabulary, then you know it's not an accident. 100%
Right.
agree with you on that one. It's almost like, oh, it was a slip of the tongue, or like I didn't mean to say it, and it's like, yes, you did. Like, just own it. If you
just didn't mean to say it live.
Yeah,
like,
if
you wanna
or
get
you
caught
did, but
saying
you didn't
it.
think it through.
Yeah, it's certainly. I 100% agree that he was probably a dangerous person to have on the platform, given the things he's done in the past and said in the past. I'm kind of definitely in agreement that he should have been banned. I just thought it was an interesting topic to kind of see where we all land on that one.
You know that scene from Home Alone
Hey,
where he's in the
Wolverine.
basement getting like shocked.
So for our audio listeners, I'm not even going to explain. Just watch the video at this moment. You'll see. So I had another point, but it's escaping me now, which is Very
I
frustrating.
couldn't understand why.
Yeah, it's
I'm screenshotting this. I'm putting it on
I've
Twitter.
completely lost my train of thought. Thank you for that. So I guess the next topic was also sort of to do with bans. As we all know, Dr. Disrespect was banned from the platform and is now streaming on YouTube. He played in a Warzone tournament with a few other people, one of those being Nadeshot, who streams on Twitch, and they actually were live on Twitch playing with the doc. So it's a fairly established rule that if a banned streamer is on your stream, then you can be banned for that as well. You know, you shouldn't be showing any content of a banned streamer. You shouldn't be playing with a banned streamer and allowing them on the platform. And I think Twitch specifically also said, or somebody also specifically said, that the doc wouldn't be able to play with, you know, any person who's live on Twitch, which is something we talked about previously because he's known for playing with people like Nadeshot, Tim the Tapman, even Ninja. So up until now he hasn't. However, in this scenario, Nadeshot played with with Doc on Twitch, and he acknowledged that he wasn't allowed to do that, but nothing has happened yet. So what do we think about that one?
Because you said his comment was when somebody in chat asked, Condi, you said was basically just like, what are they going to do? Ban me?
I believe
No,
the clip I saw.
It was more why. Why would they ban me?
Why would they ban me?
Like, I'm playing with a doc. Yes, he's banned, but why would you ban me for that? And he went on to say, I've been here since Justin TV. Like, they need to think about it if they ban me. So it was like, okay. It was almost like it was a threat. You know, like he's got some of these huge content creators, and like, to me, it sounded like if you ban me, we're all going. You know, it was like.
So do you think that was like a deliberate choice of his before the stream even started, that he went in knowing that this was going to be a topic that would be raised, and simply this is a political statement on what he sees to be as like the ridiculousness of the policy, and that this is like his stand for it? Or do you think it was like in the moment he was just kind of like, well, I mean, that would be stupid, you know?
So there's been a lot of controversy with him on like not being invited to Twitch Rivals. He wasn't part of Vicstar's Warzone tournament. There was something else he wasn't invited to as well. So he's kind of pissed off at Twitch in my eyes. So I think this was almost like a fuck you, Twitch. You know, if you're not going to invite me to some of these huge things after I've like done everything for this platform, fuck you. I'm streaming with somebody that's banned. You want to try and ban me? Go for it. I don't think you're going to do it. That was the way that it kind of came across.
It seemed very much like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. And it did sort of seem like he's kind of goading Twitch to see what they'll do. And I hadn't even considered, you obviously bring up the point that, you know, he runs 100 Thieves. He has streamers, some of the biggest names, you know, in his company. And we already know he has, you know, like Courage JD and Valkyrie that stream on YouTube. Maybe this was a test to see, well, if Twitch banned me, I'll just go to YouTube where I have all these friends that are already on YouTube. Yeah, I hadn't actually considered that. But as of right now, Twitch hasn't taken any action.
Nope, he's still live. Well, not live, but you know what I mean.
His channel
hasn't been bad yet.
He's alive.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Do you see Twitch taking any action on this, or do you think they'll just look the other way?
With the doc, who fucking knows? You have no idea. They might turn around in 6 months' time, say you streamed with doc, get out of here. There's no. It doesn't seem like there's a word for word policy on if you do this, you will be banned. There seems to be like some bullet points, but I mean, if you look at this situation in particular, if you stream with a banned streamer, you are also liable to be banned, and it hasn't happened.
Yeah, I think that they leave that slight ambiguity in there just so that it gives them the leeway to kind of dance on either side of the fence. And some instances they will take action, others they won't, you know. And I think that that's why it gives them the latitude to make decisions, you know, say like with someone like Leafy, versus, other people who just got a temp ban. It gives them the wiggle room where they don't have to be so concrete as to have a rule that is just like hard and fast across the entire platform. It gives them that room to kind of like mix it up. I don't know if that's a good thing.
Well, I think that's where a lot of these issues come from, because Twitch has that wiggle room a lot of the time, and that's where the community can get super mad about, inconsistencies and things like that. It's a discussion I was having with people earlier today about, from a business point of view, Twitch need to protect their biggest earners, but
Do they?
well, they do.
They want to, but should they, if the person is in violation of something that would be bannable, and then they just like give them a very light slap on the wrist?
Well, that's the thing. But then, there's the complete 180 of that, where they just took out the doc for, as far as we know, no reason yet,
As far as he knows, I mean, he's adamant. He was like, I honestly do not know. He's
Yeah.
like, they have not.
I don't
told
believe him.
I don't believe
You
him.
don't
I don't
either.
believe that
I
he
do.
doesn't know.
I do. I believe him.
I still feel like Twitch hasn't told him, but I think he knows. But I think Twitch haven't said. I know he said he doesn't know subsequently, but I still go back to that original tweet where he says Twitch hasn't notified me of the reason, which I think is, I at the time I was like, that's worded very specifically, of they've not said, but but again, I feel like he's got to know. I feel like he's got to know, surely, with a contract of that size. Anyway, without getting back too much into the doc drama there, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Nadeshot. I don't want to see him banned for it, personally. I think that would be stupid, but I can understand why Twitch have that rule, because a streamer is banned from the platform for a specific reason, and they don't want to be giving a banned streamer any more airtime on their platform.
Well, because essentially anyone who does co-stream with that person, their content and their words are still gonna, because there is no way to ensure that if you co-stream with someone, their audio isn't coming through into the other person's stream. You are basically streaming that other person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's regardless of whether or not the other streamer, the other party in question, whether Twitch sees it as they're endorsing the banned party, you're still not going to eliminate their presence on the approved streamer's content. So Nadeshot still has his audio coming through, his comms coming through. If somebody asks the doc a question in the doc's chat and the doc says something untoward or really scathing of Twitch, then that is going to also, unless he's muted, which he may not always be, is going to come through into the other person's stream. And so it does make sense to a degree why you just can't be party to a person who has been excised from a platform, because their content will bleed through somebody who is still on the whitelist who is approved.
Yeah, but I mean, I imagine someone like Doc, I mean, this isn't his first rodeo, you know what I mean? Like, he's a professional, he's a business person. I'm sure he would go about it in a certain way to where, that specific wouldn't happen. But someone on, not as, accustomed to, or has the prowess he has, could definitely fall into that category for sure.
I think that Nadeshot did this knowing full well what the risk was. I think the doc also knew what the risk was for Nadeshot. So I think you're right, Humps. I agree with you that he wouldn't be interested in putting somebody else in the position of jeopardizing, their brand and their channel. So no, do I really think Nadeshot put himself at risk? Well, the only thing he did was really just the fact that you're not supposed to do it, and he's just poking the bear.
Yeah.
Interestingly, when Ninja first moved to Mixer, Doc was one of the loudest voices complaining about, on the front page of Twitch, you had Lupo, who was playing Fortnite with Ninja. So that even though Ninja wasn't on Twitch anymore, he was still on the front page of Twitch via Lupo's stream. And I remember the Doc being one of the people saying, how is this happening? So it's kind of interesting that he's now on the other side of it. But yeah, definitely, I'm trying to keep up with all of it to kind of see where the outcome's going to be. But I would hate to see Twitch ban Nadeshot for this, but I think they probably won't let it continue. at the same time.
I just had to look through the rules, and it seems to be ban evasion. Sorry, ban evasion. That seems to be
Sounds
how
like
they get you.
Banavision.
It's like if you still manage to get your content on the site, whether it be comms or whatever, that's you evading that original ban,
Yeah.
and that seems to be why they enforce it, which I do get.
Well, yeah, they were banned for a reason. They don't want to give them a platform. So if they're still on the platform, it's counterintuitive to what Twitch wants with their ban. So I totally understand why that rule's in place. It's just, yeah, it's difficult. Because even if you get temporary banned, you're not allowed to be on Twitch on someone else's stream.
I mean, there's ways you could probably get around it. Like, I mean, if they really gave a shit, which obviously Nature doesn't give a shit, but I'm just saying, like, if they did, like, I wonder, they'd probably have a better case. Because, like, right now, it's like they just openly violated what Twitch said. So, I mean, no one's arguing that at all. But what I'm interested to see what would have happened had, say, they set up their audio to where only they could hear each other, and his Nade Shot's channel couldn't hear. You know, they could see Dr. Disrespect's name on, you know, Warzone or whatever, but I mean that's it. So
They can't hear
his
his
content
comms.
wouldn't be bleeding through, but they'd still have, you know, game communication and whatnot. And he probably wouldn't have him muted on his channel on YouTube.
Like how granular do you want to get in drawing?
Yeah,
that
exactly.
line? Yeah, like his name is visible in the lower left corner, like when he's like waiting for a res.
That
like
could be
is
anybody,
that
you know what I mean?
right? Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting for sure. So we got a couple more topics. First of all, Grog, do you want to tell us about the Loupedeck Live?
Loupedeck.
Yeah. So CK, shout out to CK, our bud. In his Discord, he posted a video about this. I first saw it through this link, and it was Gale Level on YouTube. He does like a lot of he's kind of like a Harris Heller light. He kind of like has videos on getting into Twitch and improving your setup, and he does like reviews for hardware and stuff. But he had this video which is pretty good, and then it took me deeper into looking more into it. But there's a company called Loupedeck, so it's Loupe and then Deck. But they are already an extant company. They've made plenty of other pieces of hardware that are peripherals for really content creation and editing, skewing more so towards video and photo editing, where basically it's kind of like, you know, how Elgato has a Stream Deck. They have this multi-function, multi-button little panel that you can pre-program with macros or shortcuts to allow you to execute commands that are far more complicated than you'd be able to just by doing like sort of, you know, Shift S or like, you know, Alt whatever. Basic keybinds. You can now do really complex stuff. Well, Loupedeck is that, but what it is previously was this way for if you're editing, it had physical dials. So in addition to having sort of programmable buttons the way a Stream Deck does, there's also dials that have haptic feedback where you can actually click and feel the clicks. And let's say you were doing like photo editing, you could say, I want to take this to like a 49% gradient. You could dial it in exactly without having to drag a slider, and it allows you to kind of like keep more eyes on the final product while you make tweaks. So if it was, you know, adding a filter to something in After Effects, or if it was, you know, editing in Adobe Premiere in terms of zooming in and out of your timeline, it was a way to kind of like speed up workflow. So what they did was they've come out with a new thing called Loupedeck Live, and it's specifically targeted at streamers slash content creators. The idea is it's not meant solely to be a rival to Stream Deck, which it is, but it also is meant to kind of be not just helping you with your workflow on stream, but also what you do off stream. So if you're doing YouTube edits or you're doing you know, video stuff for your channel after the fact, those extra features and dials are there to kind of help you give a little more workability to your creative space that you just can't get with a mouse. And so what's interesting is you basically have a rectangle you have a touch screen of 12 buttons. The cool thing about it is it's a swipe. So that touch screen is unlike the Stream Deck where they're physical LED, like little mini screen buttons. This is a screen kind of like a tablet that's divided into a grid. You can actually just swipe pages. So you can swipe through pages. And then at the bottom, you have 6 buttons numbered 1 through 6. You've got 3 dials on one side, 3 dials on the other side. Those dials can be programmed to do anything. They both click in and out, and then they also, obviously turn up and turn down. So you can program functionality for both. If you're turning it to the right, turning it to the left, you can do it on a gradient. So if it was like you could use it as a scroll to scroll through a list of something, you could use it like say it's a Spotify playlist. If you have it keyed to Spotify, you could just be twisting the dial and scrolling through a playlist of something and then like click in to select the track that you want. The buttons at the bottom are workspaces. So basically you can set up to 6 workspaces where you press it, and then that's going to shift the entire focus of what's happening in the middle of the deck with those touch buttons. And then there's also these kind of like 2 small side screens in the middle that allow you to then see those can be interactive, but they're also usually giving like information on what the dials do. So like, you can program the details. So like you can, if you have a dial set to something, if you turn the dial and it toggles something, it'll like read out what it's doing in this like little mini side screen. It's pretty cool.
It looks really cool.
So who's gonna be the first person to get a Warzone win using only that thing? They just have all their buttons there.
You probably could. I mean, so they have a back end that looks a lot like Stream Deck. So anyone who's used Stream Deck, you basically have a piece of software on your computer that has program specific like pre-programmed hotkeys where you basically can drag and drop. So if you have a Stream Deck now and you boot up the software, you can go to like the pane on the side and say, okay, I use OBS, and then these are all the hotkey pre-programmed functions for OBS. This is for a scene change. I want the scene change to be on that button. I'm going to drag and drop that function there, and boom. This does exactly the same. The Loupedeck stuff does the exact same thing, but it also, just like with Stream Deck, allows you to put in you can set in delays, so you can make it
Can
so
you
that
utilize the dials for like volume control?
Yes.
Yeah.
But you can do it for volume control. You could do it for anything. It doesn't have to be a volume. Like the dials need not necessarily be, I'm turning to the right, volume goes up, and turning to the left, volume goes down. Because at the end of the day, why would you need 6 volume control knobs?
Why would you?
Well, but you could. Yeah. I mean, if you had like, I'm thinking for folks,
bass, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. You could use them as separate EQ. You could set them up for separate EQs.
Yeah.
If you wanted
Voice
to be really granular
or all sorts.
Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where
that's what I'm saying. This is like a Stream Deck Go XLR combo.
Kind of, yeah.
The
price
So
point.
when are we getting free
it's
ones?
not cheap. I actually
hit us up,
ordered one.
Loupedeck, hit us up.
So
Hey.
I'm excited to talk about it when it comes in. They're shipping September 28th.
Nice.
The price I think for EU is like $249 EU, and I think it's like it's $269 USD, and you said it was $229 pounds. So then I don't know. I'm excited. Basically, it is in the same price bracket as the 30 button Stream Deck. So as Humps has the 6 button, I know some of us have like the 15 button, and then there's like the 30 button. And basically, it's just the same device. It just keeps getting physically bigger, and you have more buttons. And for people who are maybe in chat that don't have a Stream Deck or don't know a lot about it, you have these pre-programmable buttons, but you're not limited just to, oh, I've only got 30 buttons. You can make folders. So you could have, if you wanted, 30 folders of stuff, and every folder has its own folders and so on. So you can have an infinite number of pages or like chunks of content partitioned out.
Yeah.
But you have to basically mentally memorize, okay, I have my top tier set of folders. I go into that one, and then I have to nest a subfolder, and that takes up a key, et cetera, et cetera. What's interesting about the Loupedeck is you have workspaces. So you have 6 workspaces, and you could have workspaces within workspaces, but ideally you'd say, this is my
Holy shit.
well, the mail has arrived.
Monday.
Anyway,
not
I will mute myself in a second. But it's interesting because you can tap like a single workspace key, and like then everything in the middle screen, because it's a touch screen, then is relegated to that. But because you can swipe between screens, you're not having to drill down layers to get into functionality. You can dive into a workspace, and that whole workspace now has the functionality of 7 dials. Each of those dials is also a button, and each of those dials has its own screen, with like a little bit relegated to each dial, and then like the middle bit is like just an infinite scrolling page of like stuff. And you can also make those pages, if you don't want to swipe through it, you can make them folders. So you could just tap one thing there and then go into another folder. So it seems like it's the same price point as the Stream Deck, 30 button, but with a lot more functionality. But it's Loupedeck isn't new as a company, but this is a new product for them, so it's probably not going to be without some foibles. I'm interested to kind of test it out.
Yeah. I'm curious. So, does anyone here not have a Stream Deck currently?
No. I do.
So yeah, we all run a Stream Deck at the moment.
Yeah.
So are you going to be, do you think, replacing your Stream Deck with this, or maybe trying to use them together in some way, or?
I'm going to be using them together because I run a dual stream setup. My plan, or my dual PC setup. I'm going to be moving the Stream Deck over to the gaming PC, so that if there's any hotkey functionality I want with the gaming PC, I'm going to have that here right in front of me, whereas now it's kind of off to the side beneath the stream PC. Gotcha. And I'm going to have this thing, which is a little bit more robust. I'm going to give that over to the stream PC, because I can then say change things, like I have my mic and my camera and all that stuff running through that machine, because that's going straight into OBS, and I don't have to like port it over a network. I want to be able to have the most amount of functionality in terms of controlling like the audio for the channel, as well as like musical playlists and stuff like that there. And then the existing one, I have the 15 button. It'll be nice because our buddy Vul like showed me this game Elite Dangerous. It's super cool, but it's super complex. And one of the things that you can do with it is like you can set up like a little set of hotkey commands for playing the game with the Stream Deck. Gotcha. But I can't do that if I'm moving it between 2 computers on the fly. So yeah. I think I'll definitely still get use out of the one that I have. It's just that's going to be more of like a fun, time-saving kind of thing. I think I'm just really looking forward to the Loupedeck for setting up like delays and multi-function programmability, so that like I know that right now, I think Billy, you have yours set up, your Stream Deck set up, so like you press a button and like this program launches and it starts that scene, and then it like I know you've gone pretty deep. It did.
I managed to get it back, but it's nowhere near as complex as it was. You can basically.
You have really explored like multifunction hotkeys,
like to the point where it makes my OBS like lag like crazy.
That's
like there's so many like multi functions going on, it just reams everything.
That's the interesting thing, I think, with particularly with Stream Deck. I can't speak for this new product, but like if you spend a little time to like really deep dive into it, you can do some amazing stuff with it. Like I'm slacking. I don't know how easy it is to show mine right now, but like half the buttons aren't even assigned. Like it's really pathetic. I have folders, but then I just have empty buttons, and I'm like on the front page and like of the thing, like, it's a nightmare. I need to actually organize it. But if you spend a little time getting into it, like you can really do some cool things with this. So I'm excited to hear your thoughts on it when it arrives. I wonder if they'll be able to directly compete with Elgato, because Elgato is such a huge name and covers so many brands. but maybe, like you say, they're not directly trying to compete, even though it is a sort of competitor. Yeah, I'm very curious to see kind of how this is received by the sort of streaming community.
One of the differences is that it seems to be that like some of the pre-program, like the drag and drop functionality, Elgato just is strictly given towards, Spotify and Streamlabs and OBS and other stream centric things like that. What this does a little differently too is in the back end where the software is concerned, it also has support for Adobe Premiere, for Adobe Audition, for Photoshop, for Illustrator. So like it's tapping into the API for those things with pre-programmed functions that you can then map onto the device, which if you're someone who does, let's say you're into doing less live content versus more edited and curated content for YouTube, this actually seems like a cool tool for someone who uses other non-stream related things to produce content for entertainment. So for someone who like does a little bit of live streaming but a lot of YouTubing, and spends a lot of time editing, I can see that those dials and whatnot for scrubbing through VODs and for zooming in on your timeline and snipping stuff, like that would actually be really efficient in a different way, and Elgato just isn't doing that at all.
If you look at it, it looks 10 times better than what the Stream Deck is, and the reason why I say that is it looks a lot more polished. The Stream Deck, if you look at it, it looks very clunky, but it does the job that it's intended to do. I haven't like I was waiting for that. When you actually like obviously Grog brought this up right before the podcast, but I haven't really dived into it, but looking at it, it looks like it would be an actual rival to a lot of the products that are already well established. But I feel like if the bigger streamers don't get onto it and also promote it, no one's gonna buy it, and I think it's gonna be a real shame. I think there's a huge mentality in the streaming world, whereas if you see one of your favorite streamers get something new, I instantly need to have it, whether it be
I'm
a
sure
new mic.
Harris Heller's gonna have a video on this.
He probably will, but
100%.
I think PC until that happens, I feel like it's just going to be overlooked by a lot of people. And on the surface, it looks like, I think Humps, you said this, it looks like a Go XLR and a Stream Deck pretty much combined in one, which I don't know anybody that's bought the Go XLR and not felt it in the pocket. It's an investment, to say the least.
But we're also seeing more of this because the Elgato literally brought out the Wave, which is kind of like a Go XLR light built into a microphone.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
We're seeing companies trying to combine a lot of things into one piece of hardware, because I think that particularly for like maybe a newer streamer, I can imagine it being quite daunting to look at all this gear and equipment. Like I'm still in the process of trying to move to a 2 PC setup, and I'm already stressed about trying to get it all working. The idea of having one product that kind of does a bunch of stuff clearly is quite appealing, and I think that's what these companies are trying to push. And we're seeing it with some of these products, like this new Stream Deck, Loupedeck, whatever, is clearly trying to add things, and then Elgato had the microphone with extra features built in. Yeah,
competition is good in this case because it's going to breed innovation. Loupedeck was there are other companies other than Loupedeck who already cater towards individuals who do a lot of video editing, having these hardware peripherals that are meant to add new layers of functionality or new layers to speed up the content creation process for photo and video editing. That's a well-established thing right now, and that's already where they started. But the fact that now they're trying to get into and cater towards like the streaming crowd is really interesting, and I think it can only do good things because it means that Elgato can't just sit on their haunches and say, hey, we're Elgato, we make stream decks, we sell this many units per year, and because we're pushing numbers, like we're fine with that. They can't just sit and be content. It means that the next model of Stream Deck is going to have to do something a little different. It's going to have to offer something new. And if you think about it, the Stream Deck hasn't changed in 5 years more. Like
they just made
released
smaller
a product.
And,
yeah. I mean, their growth model was, hey, we've released this cool thing called a Stream Deck, and it has multifunction, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's got 6 buttons. And then like a year or two later, hey, we're coming at you with the brand new Stream Deck. It's got 15 buttons. And then next year, hey, Stream Deck 3, it's got 30 buttons. Like, is the next one going to have 60 buttons?
I can't wait
till
I can have a whole
next.
desk that is just a Stream Deck.
Get your new Ducky Stream Deck.
Stream Ducky. Oh, fuck.
I would. Fuck, genius.
I might buy a Stream Ducky.
100%.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. You're right. It's hopefully
they've done nothing to innovate. I think the Wave and the Wave Link software for their microphone, huge step in the right direction. And actually, I was having a long conversation with Aiden last night about how frustrated and disappointed I am that Elgato is not allowing that Wavelink software to be sold separate from the microphone. Because I know that I'm shifting gears here slightly, but apparently the Wavelink software is kind of like a perfect, improved, better UI-driven version of, like, say, Voicemeeter, which a lot of people use to kind of solve a lot of technical issues that they might have with like dual stream setups or if they're running multiple applications. But it's always a little buggy. But here's the thing, Wavelink is fucking amazing, and apparently it will support up to 8 microphones, 7 of which do not need to be the Wavelink. And apparently, after doing a little research, you can buy a Wave 1 for, it's still $150, which I'm not going to spend. But you could buy a Wave 1, plug it into your computer, set the input volume to 0, and then you can run your Rode mic, you could run your Blue Yeti, anything you want, even in their own help page for their for Elgato. It says that they will support any microphone with the Wavelink software. The catch is the computer has to detect the driver from the Wave microphone, and it has to be plugged in. So I actually tried to download the Wave software and set it up to see if I could do it, and you cannot get through the setup process unless it detects a Wave microphone.
Right.
Give me an hour and I'll get through that.
It's super clever.
I am the master.
It's super, super clever.
Guys, my computer crashed again.
It's on fire.
I don't know what I've done.
No.
But it's one of those things where it really surprises me that they just don't say, hey, here's a $40 license, use it with whatever you want. Like, just or 60 or 100. I mean, like, just sell. They have created an amazing piece of software, and I feel like Elgato is just a little short-sighted right now in terms of how they are choosing to get into the marketplace. It feels like they really want to just tie people into their ecosystem of products because they kind of cover everything. They sell a green screen, they sell a key light, they sell, I mean, the only thing they don't sell right now is cameras, right? Because like everything else you need, they're selling for streaming. They're selling the cam link for your camera. So I feel like they're holding themselves back just enough by one, not innovating the Stream Deck anymore. They build a product, it's successful. There's no reason to make it better. They just keep releasing bigger versions, and beyond the 30 button, where do you go? I think this is going to be a great thing, and I think Loupedeck is going to give them a challenge that they need.
I want to be able to control OBS with my mind, so I can just think about changing scenes and it'll change scenes. Make that, Elgato. That's what I want.
It seems like the Loupedeck doesn't just do
Connie wants magic.
Yes.
He does. But correct me if I'm wrong, but the Loupedeck doesn't just do streaming, like purely OBS work. It seems like you could use it for that, switch a profile, and then use it for editing. Then you can switch a profile and then use it for a different program. It seems like it's got a lot more
That's what it's geared for.
Yeah,
that's what I like about it.
In the video, so there's a couple of press videos that they have, but there's a decent one that I can drop into the public Discord for Zero Strategy Podcast. We do have a Discord. The video is pretty good, but basically
Super
it shows
active.
how
Super
it's
active.
basically shows how, like, yes, as Cyber pointed out, it's not just for streaming. They have definitely made a point that you can create workspaces and tailor the functionality of those buttons and the touchscreen and the dials, all of which have haptic feedback. So you get a little vibration, when you interact with each one. That all of those can and are specifically focused on like the Adobe Suite and other programs, and you can set your own profiles. So if you have a program that you like, let's say if you maybe you use GIMP for photo editing, you could, I mean, if you have the time and the patience, just program it.
Yeah.
Anything can be every program ever now already has hotkeys. Control P to print, Control S to save. Like, Spotify, you can even control with your Stream Deck to do volume up, volume down, to save a track, to save it to a specific playlist, to start a key playlist or whatever it is. These programs already have their own functionality built in. This is just the thing that's allowing you to have a new way to physically interact with it beyond your mouse, and to do it at like the press of a single button. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. While we're on the topic of hardware, there was another whole topic I wanted to get into, but I think it's maybe best we save for next week. New consoles. Let's talk about it a little bit, because Xbox finally revealed some pricing.
It was pretty cheap, right?
So the Xbox Series X, the big one, in US dollars was $4.99, right? If I'm not mistaken. But they also
like
revealed
$4.99.
Yeah,
$4.99.
same price as a Twitch sub.
Buy
It's
10 of
crazy. They revealed that, and then they also, what was originally leaked, they have the Xbox Series S, not to be confused with the Xbox One S, but it's a smaller diskless version, but it's only what was it, $299?
Yeah, I was surprised how cheap that version is.
So, but apparently this $299 new Xbox is still going to be, I think somewhere said 4K 120 it's capable of for certain things.
How many teraflops is that?
I don't know. The only thing I saw was people were saying that there might not be enough RAM to it. I haven't looked into it too much, but certainly I've not really an Xbox person. All my library is all PlayStation side, so I'm definitely leaning towards PS5, just purely because that's the ecosystem I'm already in. But if I was gonna buy an Xbox, this $299, I mean in the UK it'll be what, £250. That is a good deal for a brand new console that's going to be more powerful than my current PlayStation 4 Pro. That's kind of insane, really.
I don't think I'm going to buy Xbox, and it might be a hot take here, but I don't think they have any good exclusives. I don't like Halo, and I don't like Gears of War. So,
if you look at the past, like the PlayStation have had some really key individual titles. If you look at like Last of Us, that game sold so many copies, and it's still big on streaming platforms today. Like, it's not a hot take; it's just a fact.
The thing,
I'm gonna go out and say
the big thing with Microsoft and Xbox, and I want to avoid the console wars, right? Because it's all bullshit, right? But Xbox has the Game Pass, which undeniably, like objectively, is a phenomenal deal. Where you have this monthly subscription and all these games are available. But if you have a PC, which all of us do here in the podcast, and I'm sure many people do, you can play any of these Xbox games on PC for the most part. So
the majority, yeah.
Yeah. So really, to me, it's like, well, I can get a PlayStation and get the best of both because I can play all the PlayStation exclusives, and chances are any Xbox game that I'm interested in, I'll be able to play on PC. But then having this, cheaper model Xbox for 250 quid that I could pick up and just play some Xbox games on is very appealing. I don't really want to drop £500 on a new console, so it's quite nice to have that.
One of the good things about the whole like Xbox and PC integration is the whole crossplay. Like the amount of times where I've actually played Sea of Thieves with people on the Xbox and the PC at the same time, the PlayStation just hasn't bridged that gap yet. And if that's the kind of integration that you want, like if you've got friends on Xbox and you're a PC gamer but you want to play with them, I think if the PlayStation can bridge that gap, I think no one would really go anywhere near the new Xbox.
I think it's also I think it's more of a complicated matter for people in our position where we all stream off of PC, and we play some console, and we also play a lot of Windows-based PC games. If you already have a PC that is capable of like mid-tier gaming, the Xbox suddenly becomes less of an appeal. And I think that the whole console war really only still rages for people who are in a position, either economically or just by choice, want to play from the couch and they want to play on a console. That is their preferred method to do so. It could be, economically driven. There's plenty of people who, if they are a college student, if they are, like a single family, if they, are buying this for like, one of their children, they may be limited by what they can spend on a device. So this is very appealing to them. And the decision of, do I get an Xbox or do I get a PlayStation? That's going to be a much more emotionally weighted choice that they have to make. Whereas if somebody's already into PC gaming, well, for me, I'm looking at it like, well, it's probably going to be PlayStation all the way. If they have any exclusivity titles, I can get it there. What's the likelihood of Xbox, releasing something that is going to be PlayStation console only? Xbox pretty much always goes exclusive to Xbox, but also PC.
Yeah.
Because it's Windows based, and they're already drawing in a crowd with Windows. So for me, it's like for me it feels like a no brainer. But I think that the people who, if they already have one console or the other now and aren't planning to move into a gaming PC situation, then I think it's maybe a little tough. The price point though is so amazing for the S, and I think a lot of like families who are on a tight budget, that is going to be a solid buy for them, unless the PlayStation can do something similar. And they've
or
been
you just get the
shrouded in
PlayStation
secrecy.
and then just get the S so you can get the Xbox.
Well, see,
Yeah.
this is my move because
Yeah,
like
that
a lot of games are saying like, well, you get a free upgrade. If you have the Xbox One X version or Xbox One version. I think a lot of games are doing this free upgrade path when you buy the new console. So if you're, for example, a Destiny player that's playing on console right now, maybe you're stuck to playing at 30 frames per second. They've confirmed Destiny 2 is going to run 60 frames per second 4K on both the new consoles. Potentially, you spend that 250 and you're now playing 4K 60 FPS Destiny, which frankly, I struggle to run that on my PC, which costs a bit more than 250, like it's definitely compelling.
Inadequacies at setting up.
Yeah, okay, but like my point is it's a potentially a very compelling price for those specific people that are maybe just wanting that upgrade of hardware. Although I'm a hardcore like physical games for consoles. Like I like to have the discs, even for PS5 when I do eventually get one. I definitely want the one with the disc drive because, particularly as games get larger and larger, having to download full games and keep them on hard drives is just not for me, man. I want it on the disc so I can just delete it and then reinstall it off the disc whenever, But yeah, I think it's very interesting that we finally got prices. With release date was November. I want to say the 10th of November, if I'm not wrong. Anyone know that off the top of their head?
I don't remember.
No.
But either way, they've now basically released the price 2 months before the actual release date of the console, which is kind of unheard of. Usually we know the price way in advance, and we still don't know the PlayStation price yet.
It's November.
November, okay. I knew it was that month, I just didn't know the specific date. Chat says November 10th, so there we go.
But do you think that price is heavily driven with the current climate that we're in? Obviously, the majority of us have been stuck in for the last 6 months.
What do you mean though?
I'm sure they weigh that into account. I think so. Their marketers probably worked on it.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of unfortunate families that haven't been able to physically get out and work towards like the whole cost of living when it comes to December time, because it's huge. I remember having to save up, even working a full-time job, just to buy presents for like people that I cared about. Never mind the expectation that like parents have to spoil their kids at Christmas. So I think if we didn't go through this pandemic, I think the actual price would have been much more inflated.
Really? Okay.
And I think that this is a huge move for them, knowing that if they make it manageable, and I'm not saying that everybody can afford the price tag, but with something that powerful and seemingly jumping a total generation, it's not just a little add-on, it's not just like a little bit more. It seems like a huge jump to have that kind of price tag associated with it. It's the exact same thing as the NVIDIA graphics cards. I think it's the exact same, because imagine the amount of power that you're getting for something that doesn't really cost that much in the whole PC gaming kind of realm.
The Series X being priced at only $500 is a steal for the actual specs that you're getting in that machine. That's a good price. If you were,
but I mean, basically, the industry articles have demonstrated time and again over the years that like these companies make their money not off the hardware, they make it off of the software.
Yes.
And like, so PlayStation and Xbox are not selling these consoles to they're losing. It is in effect, if they were only selling it for the hardware, it would be a net loss for them, based on what they have to put into it in terms of the money spent on the chipset and the build quality and all that stuff. It is a steal for the hardware because that's not where they're making their money. It's just like, for example, like Lauren and I needed to buy like a new mop thingy, and so we ended up buying one of those like Swiffer wet jet things. Dude, the whole thing for what it is, pretty fucking cheap. Where they get you, it's the the refill. It's the same thing with like toner for anyone who works in an office place. Yeah.
Yeah.
For anyone who works in an office setting,
the most expensive liquid on this planet.
They can sell you a crazy, like all-in-one printer scanner. It's got all the bells and whistles. Its build quality can be really high, and it's still pretty fucking cheap. It's because the money is not in the hardware. The money is in the content and the purchases that are going to happen later as a result. And it's going to be the passes. It's going to be Xbox Live Pass. It's going to be the PlayStation Plus Pass. That's where they're making their money.
Yep.
So I don't think that the pandemic maybe necessarily affected the pricing, but I think Xbox S is going to clean up, because I think you're right. There are families that have been hurt economically because of quarantine over this year, but that's the price point is going to be so good, as you said, for such a huge jump in quality of content that I mean, a family, let's put it this way, some of these families aren't going to have a 4K TV. It's a moot point whether or not they get an X or an S, because the specs of the X maybe aren't even relevant to the TV that they have.
Yeah.
So some of these families are just going to say, shit, that is a cheap ass thing. I'm going to buy it. And, if you can hook, I mean, I don't know. I think Xbox is going to clean up, and I don't know if PlayStation doesn't have a cheaper version. That's maybe going to be to the detriment of PlayStation.
The thing is, as well, is that, selling these discless consoles, they know that those consumers are locked into buying digital content, which there's going to be a bigger profit margin for Microsoft on digital content. I can't speak for the pricing of that on Xbox, but certainly on PlayStation, it takes a long time for games to drop in price. There's sales and things, but 9 times out of 10, if you go into a store and buy a pre-owned copy of a game, it's going to be way cheaper than buying it digitally.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's one of the reasons I always like to stick with discs, because then you have the option of getting pre-owned content from somewhere else. But being locked into digital means that you're stuck paying those prices, which makes back the money even more so, probably.
This is going to be the generation of console that kills GameStop.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say.
I'm amazed it's still around.
Last week.
In the UK, we have Game, which I think is the equivalent, and I'm sure they were this close to actually closing down before the PS4 launched, and I'm amazed they're still running with this, this whole time. And it's a shame. I love physical games. I don't want to move away.
Man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing.
But
literally, it's crazy to think of that.
It is, yeah. The PlayStation do have a
media, am I right?
Dude,
I mean, just think, man, in like 15, 20 years, they're gonna have movies referencing this moment, like how Marvel, what's the movie, the one with the chick, Captain Marvel.
Oh,
They landed in the 90s, and they're like,
yeah.
oh, it's a blockbuster. They're gonna do that same thing in like 15, 20 years, but it's gonna be like a GameStop, and then like all these nerds that are like super millennials right now, they're gonna be like, haha, I remember that, just like we are now.
Yeah.
I remember Blockbuster.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I miss Blockbuster, man.
Dude, I rented Excite Bike from Blockbuster. That's
Damn.
a regular NES game, brother.
I think I had like a Duke Nukem game on like the PlayStation 1 that I rented from Blockbuster. I remember vividly like renewing so I could keep playing the game.
Yeah.
Dude, man, it's crazy.
I just say fucking pay the late fee.
Yeah. The reason I brought it up as well is because apparently Sony are having some kind of event on Wednesday, the 16th, where I have to assume they're finally going to give us a price and a release date.
I think they're going to be forced to do it.
They have to. They have to at this point.
I genuinely think that the reason why that got leaked was a marketing genius. You know, because the price point hadn't been released on Sony's end, it now forces them to do it. And I think if they don't, everyone's going to be like, where the fuck is the price? You know, we know exactly how much this is going to be for this amount of content. Tell us it now. And if they don't, I think it's going to... I don't necessarily think it's going to hurt their reputation, but it's going to have a lot of people saying, where the fuck is it? Like, give me it now.
Do you think, that they would... do you think they, would have released the price already? Do you think they already have a price set?
Yes.
And B, do you think that they have since, with this leak, changed the price or have taken in consideration of maybe lowering the price point from what they originally had? So say they originally were going to sell it at $499, but now that they know
$498,
$498, whatever. Well, I'm just saying, and then they didn't know about the Series S.
Well, it seems like
$299. Maybe we should just call it even and do $399.
Yeah.
Well,
Xbox X.
Knowing like the economics actually like manufacturing products, the price point is usually set way before the physical products even made in prototype. So I think they 100% know what the price point is currently set at, but I think it may change given the fact that Xbox has now released what they've gotten in the future, whether that be an increase or a decrease, one of the two. It basically gives them the opportunity to review now.
Fuck, we were gonna do $8.99 for this thing. We can't do that shit.
Or it could have even been less. It could have been even like, rather than being $2.99, it could have been $2.50. And they're now saying, well, fuck it, we're just gonna make it $2.99 as well. We're gonna make it the exact same amount, and then it's gonna come down to hardware rather than price. It's gonna be a pin. Like,
thing is, it feels like they were playing a game of chicken to see who'd reveal first, right? And
always happens,
I would love to be a fly on the wall as Sony when that released to see how many meetings they're having to try and work out what their price point needs to be. At this point, I'm convinced it's going to be $499 for the PlayStation 5 and maybe $450 for the discless version, right? Because a disc drive doesn't cost that much. I don't know. Maybe it'll be $400 for that. The thing is, with the Series S, it is a spec down version. It has less powerful GPU, less RAM. The CPU is the same, I believe, but basically it is still a less powerful console than the Series X, whereas the PlayStation 5 is the same machine, just with and without a disc drive. So they can't go as low as $250 or $299, right? They can't go that low.
I think the discless version is going to have to be maybe more than $50. I think it might have to be in the ballpark of maybe even like $100 cheaper.
Yeah,
because as compared to the Xbox X, because like otherwise, I mean, is $50 really going to be enough to sway you? It's going to have to be pound for pound,
true,
two behemoths of a machine, and then to be like, well, I don't know if it's only like a $5 difference. I really can't. It's gonna have to be significant, and I think they would have to,
But then
take
you're
into account,
looking
like,
at,
oh well, we're gonna make that money back on people buying digital for longer,
yeah.
kind of thing.
I'm just thinking, you look at the options, and if you're looking at $500 and $400, there's a big difference between $250 or $299 to $399, right? You know, potentially $100 cheaper for this Xbox. It's $100 is a lot of money.
But if you think about it, right, Condi, you said earlier you wouldn't be buying an Xbox. And what was the reason for that?
Well, because I'm already in the PlayStation ecosystem. I have all my games.
Yep.
I have my
Exactly.
PlayStation membership. I have my VR. And that's I also agree. That's a good point, because I think globally, Sony has a huge market leading in terms of consoles. So
yeah, their install base is a lot higher.
if they can keep people in that ecosystem, then they'll be fine. But I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, I think Xbox is going to win this generation, whatever." Like, as long as both companies are making money, which they are, they're both winning, right? It doesn't really matter. But I will be surprised. I'll be interested to see how many people do switch over from one to the other. You know, especially if you've been.
The PS4 sold more than double what the Xbox One did.
Yeah. What I'm interested to see is, a year down the line, what do Xbox's sales split look like between the Series S and the Series X? Because I still think a lot of people are going to want to go for the more powerful console, right? I mean, it seems like that's the way. I mean, I think the PS4 Pro sold quite well, despite it not really having much of a benefit over the base PS4. I'm going to be really curious to see how many people buy the Series S and go for that, you know. It's going to be interesting. Do we have any final thoughts on any of that stuff?
I'm excited to see what PlayStation actually releases. Meow.
Sorry. My bad. Right. Well, I mean, we have covered a lot today, and I think we're probably good to wrap up here. So, first of all, Cyber, where can everyone find you on the internet, and what do you want to plug? What you got coming up?
You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch, all the Cyber Project. We're going to be streaming this afternoon. It's going to be probably Warzone with these lovely gentlemen here. I've got some content, but Conti told me to
Save it for the OnlyFans. Okay?
So, but you know, stick with me. You know, follow those socials, and you'll find out a little bit later. But apart from that, I'm just going to be streaming some Talk Off next week, and just trying to get the stream back to what it was. You know, I lost my PC pretty much, and I invested a lot of time getting it just the way that I wanted it.
You did.
So it's gonna be rough.
For sure. Grog, where can everybody find you, my friend?
You can find me on Twitch and YouTube at just_Grog, and on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at gamer_Grog. I stream 5 days a week. One of those days is Saturday mornings with my wife. She's Virago X in chat. And yeah, we do like kind of variety fun stuff when the stream is working on those Saturdays. But yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are my long days. So like 11:30 a.m. Eastern for like 7-8 hours or so. So come on by if you want to hang out and, you know, see some Warzone. That's kind of like where I'm at right now.
Awesome. Humps, what about yourself?
Hey, you can find me Sir Humps on everything. All the socials except for Twitter. There's an underscore at the end of that. I do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday typically. And yeah, I'm gonna go get some firewood now.
Is that a euphemism for something? Come on.
No.
Save it for the OnlyFans.
Yep. Kibbles, where can everybody find you as well?
You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. I've got a video coming out on Tuesday. I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And it's just a lot of Warzone, except Fridays. There's a person. There's a new person. You didn't introduce her.
Unsupportive wife.
And Fridays are different games.
My money's on his wife, by the way. I'm just saying.
Whoa.
that we got our hand fast there.
Oh my.
Jesus.
Oh my.
Right, well, to wrap this up quickly before we descend any further into chaos, my name's Cody Fly. You can find me Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. I put out a new video yesterday on my YouTubes, and I have a new video featuring these lovely gentlemen, which will be coming out this coming week, which I think is really funny, and I can't wait to show you
laugh
all.
riot.
I can't wait for you guys to see it.
Riot.
Yeah, I've been streaming Ghost of Tsushima still, love it, and a bit of everything else, Apex, Warzone, all that jazz. More importantly, the podcast. Thank you all for listening. If you've been watching in the live stream, we appreciate you very much. Thank you so much for that. Make sure and check out our Twitter at Zero Strategy Pod, and we also have a YouTube channel, which is just Zero Strategy. Links are in the live stream, or if you're listening on audio platforms, all the links are in the description. Come by the live stream on Sundays. It's always a lot of fun. I think that's everything we need to plug. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next week. We're going to do a raid. I'm going to do a raid. So stick around for that. And we will see you guys next time. Later.
Peace.